Hi, I'm Guntis, a software developer from Latvia who enjoys orienteering in the forest. Today I'm going to tell you about my hobby project, a Garmin app which helps me to train with the virtual checkpoints. So, how it started? As a regular person, I have a job, life, and sometimes my schedule does not align with competitions or my club's training session. So I thought, okay, I can just print out orienteering map, go to forest by myself in my free time, and do orienteering. But the problem is that sometimes you can't verify 100% the exact location you are. Especially this is for very vague terrain feature maps. And I thought, but I have this device all the time by me when I'm running and in the forest. And why can't it use this as my verification device? So I've checked Garmin API and decided, okay, let's go with it. And created an app which simulates a SEAC punch in the prism, but not the real orienteering prism, a virtual one. And I've called it up Orient Map. So how does it actually work? I have installed the app, and it has map image and course data locally on my Garmin. And here you see a picture of app acquiring a GPS signal. When GPS is acquired, you can start the orienteering activity, which under the hood in Garmin is like a regular running activity. The app offers several display modes. First one is a map view with my current position located in the middle of the screen as a red dot. Then there's a trail indicating my movement and the next checkpoint. And in this image you see that I'm reached my control point, and now I can press a button on my watch. It's called the lap button, and it indicates with a sound success or failure. In this case it plays me success sound, so I know, okay, I did this control point, let's go to the next one. But let's say I missed the next control point. I press the lap button and I hear failure sound. So I know I have to look further. And if I'm lost totally, I can just look at my watch, relocate and find my checkpoint. And also there's one more mode, let's call it Pro mode. There are no map, no visual hints. It just shows your current progress with the course. Let's say you are in the 5th control point from 10th. And this mode keeps sound feedback, success or fail. And ideally you can just run and don't look at watch at all, press the button here, success or fail, and proceed from that. Why specifically Garmin out of many other brands of watches? First reason was that I had already a Garmin watch, so why should I buy a new one? But on a serious note, other brands lacks an API and App Store, where third parties like myself could build an app and upload there. However, with Garmin, working was not easy and straightforward. They have their own programming language called Monkey C. And whilst it's generic enough and you can jump it there from Python or JavaScript, it has some uncommon things inside it. And because LLMs like ChatGPT were not trained on such niche language, you have to read documentation. And speaking about documentation, when building an app, I saw that actual API differs in some places from documentation, thus making working harder. And I have had also feeling that newer versions of API, they follow a different programming patterns than older ones, so making this ecosystem inconsistent. Then there was debugging, which was good old print statements. Then there is a simulator, which in theory should be the same physical watch, but in a computer, and it was not. I experienced quite a many fatal crashes, a lot of them because of limited resources. So the real device was the key to test something, and I asked my friends to test on their devices to actually understand what's happening and if the app is running at all. But if you're starting to develop it for Garmin device, I recommend you to download newest SDK and extension for Visual Studio Code, so you can set up your project faster. And then create your scripts for simulator, build, development, and export, and proceed from that. Before building anything, I've established minimal requirements which this app needs to achieve, and checked in Garmin API if it's possible at all. So those requirements were three. First was an actual orienteering map on the watch screen, then downloadable assets, and offline mode. And starting with the first, I wanted to draw a big image on that small screen, and it has appeared it's not possible because limited resources, not enough RAM, and the app just fatally crashed. The workaround for this was to split this big image in smaller tiles and check which tile is visible at the time and draw only them. And as a whole map was moving in the screen, I needed to do this check and drawing each time the frame rate comes. And it's especially helped that the watch frame rate was quite lower compared with modern mobile phones. In those few hundred milliseconds, I could deallocate memory for all tile and fetch new tile from permanent storage and put into the RAM. And as when I was drawing the map, I was thinking, okay, I should be able to also draw my current position and the trail. And for that, I needed some kind of the mapping system, coordinate mapping system. I checked in the Monkey C, there's no such library. Also, porting some existing solution was not option because watch has very limited resources. And the only solution was to remember my school trigonometry classes and implement such a geo-information system from scratch. Actually, it wasn't that hard. Essentially, what it did was to map latitude and longitude to X and Y pixels on the screen. And as I later discovered in cartography software like OCAD, we store their mapping very similarly in their export files. My second requirement was that I didn't want to hard-code any data onto watch itself. Instead, images and courses should be easily downloadable from internet. That requires Wi-Fi hardware in the device. And as I see, Garmin releases in last 2 years all watches with the Wi-Fi, so there shouldn't be a problem on that. And regarding those downloadable data, I've created a small web page where you can upload the map image, align it to coordinates, and draw the course. And this also exposes REST API, so the watch could communicate with the server and fetch needed data. And lastly, third requirement, offline mode, because if you run in the forest, there may be no internet at all. But this comes out of the box for Garmin. It just works by default in offline. The only problem was that Garmin limits, despite gigabytes of storage on the watch, limits downloadable item count to 64 from internet. And this somewhat limits orienteering map size, but I think it's sufficient for most middle and long distances. And also after the training, the GPX file is available as a regular activity in Garmin, so no problem with that. The current status of the project is that I'm using it myself. I'm testing with my friends, and I find useful in many situations, like running some older competition maps, using in vacations, whilst visiting my parents and countryside. About future plans, I would like to create a login page so anybody could log in, upload their own map and use on their own watches. And if any other brand like Suunto, Polar create third-party app store, I'm interested to create something similar also on that brand. Here's also a project URL, also email if you want, if you're interested and want to contact me. And I didn't create a separate domain for app itself, but keeping many projects, many orienteering projects under unless.club domain. And thanks for the listening.